welcome to this funky little game called Edith Finch. I've never seen the game before. I've heard about it. Seems pretty nice, I guess. Seems pretty chill. So now we're streaming the game. So yeah, let's just go. The thing is a little family tree, which is cool. Okay, so these are all everyone who died, I'm guessing. 1917 to 2010, 1999 to... So I guess we're Edith, right? Well, yeah, Edith Finch. Okay. The Finches. Remain. But it's hinting that she's still alive, right? That's us. Whoa. Are we not Edith? Kinda thought
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Now am I?
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it. My brother Milton disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
I don't think this is a funky little game anymore. I had a friend in call with me earlier, and he has completely disappeared.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
I like these flowers, though. These flowers are pretty. Why is that house? Oh, I can interact with it.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Yeah, this is a cool, funky
I
little
hadn't been
house.
back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
No trespassing. It's not gonna be. Oh, I am kidding. I'm sorry. I just looked down and what? Oh. Okay.
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
What's down here? I wish we could run. Is this just like a small other pathway, or is there actually something down here?
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
I know I'm going the wrong way, but I want to explore
The woods
this
around the
area.
house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something, but never do.
Yo. Oh, new message. My family came home. Oh, that makes sense.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
That is one weird looking house. I'm just saying. Like, it looks cool, but also, like, I wish I could run. Why can't I run? There's a deer up here? Hi! So I could have gone either way, I'm guessing.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
All roads take both paths to the house. I didn't even know that was an achievement. I was just doing it. Can I run, please? I wish this was faster. Massive ass house.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
And I have a feeling this is not a funky little game. What's this little back area? Garage.
I heard something moving around in the garage.
Okay. I guess we're going to the garage once we go into the house. That's a little freaky, though.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Freaky as all hell. Something's in the garage, though. that a swing? Oh my god, it is. And that's a tree house. Bruh. They have a tree house extending out from their house. What do you mean? There goes 200 bucks. Oof. How do I get in? What does the game want me to do?
I asked Edie once about the dragon in the pond. She said it had killed her husband. I was 6. It seemed like an odd joke to me, even then.
How do I get in? There's a little side path there. I could take that. You know what? Let's take that little side path and see where that leads. Nowhere. Is that window... Is there a light on in that top? No, right? That's just reflection. Let's go this way, or try to at least. Invisible wall. How dare you? You know what? I'm gonna turn down sounds just a little bit. Because they are just a little much. What am I supposed to do to get in? I'm already stuck. I'm already fucking stuck. I'm just pressing buttons at this point. course they have an American flag. Oh, whoa! I didn't know you could...
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot
Oh.
easier when I was 11. The power had been turned off the night we left.
Yo. Okay, I'm kinda dumb. Why did it sound like something was moving around in here, though? Is there a person in here? Because that would be a little creepy.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
Is this all alcohol? Is this all alcohol?
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Wow.
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
So much here. 2010. Beloved brother to Edith, son of Don, great-grandson to Eddie. Memorial service, Finch Family Cemetery, 2141 Weed Road. Ed is old. You're gonna call him Ed now. How does he feel?
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
In all honesty, I would kind of love to live in like a massive house like this. With just me and my friends. A little bit away from civilization, but with really good internet. So we can still like stream and stuff. But not like too far away from civilization. Like, house is nice and quiet.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
I'm not laughing. I wear a smile.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
What happened in
A
there?
lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
What is this door? Yo.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is
Edie.
buried somewhere in the library.
Do you think there's some type of horror thing going on? Horror element thing? Because that's the
Mom
vibes
always
I'm
told me
getting.
to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Why did that... That... Wow.
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Wow. Yo. Upstairs we go.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Gregory.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Gregory. Calvin.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Oh. Oh. Why? Why would you do that? Sven and Eddie.
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Eddie. Edie. Her name's Edie, right? What the
Whenever
fuck?
people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Speaking of Barbara.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
Sounds rough.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
There might be. This is it?
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Whoa.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Well, wait, whose room? Is that anyone's room? Molly.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Yeah, wow. Alright. Let's climb in, I guess. Cute little drawing. Oh, we're
From the
crawling?
paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
You know we could probably stand up, right?
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
So this is Molly's room.
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Yeah, wow. If you just looked at it from the outside this whole time, yeah, it would feel like that. I'm sorry I'm being so quiet. This is just really intriguing, and I have no one to talk to. I was being really rude to my friend before he left because he was teasing me about something dumb, stupid, Fox. Volpez, yeah, right. Why is that starfish broken? There's a map. Ooh. Yeah, this room's pretty cool. I like it. A little
I got
bit.
the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here. Before my mom sealed the doors.
Yeah, wow. Molly Finch.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner.
Without
I
dinner?
woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
No. You didn't.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Why? Why weren't you fed?
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Don't eat Christopher. Why would they do this to you? There's a pumpkin here.
My Halloween candy was all gone.
Well, I mean, that's not very healthy anyways. nice if you haven't eaten for a while. Why didn't you eat? Or why would she send you back to your room without eating? Can you leave? Wait, hold on. There's this room back here.
I kept eating and eating.
Wait, the toothpaste? Ew. But why?
I ate a lot of things that night.
That you just had? Aren't these poison, basically? Why would you be forced to eat that? Why? There's more berries, but why would you...
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was
What?
a cat.
What? Okay, well...
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
Suddenly you were a cat. This doesn't normally happen, child. Can we turn into animals?
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Well, yeah, they don't know you're a cat.
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Okay, this is...
Rabbits.
Ah, there we go, I got one.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit.
There we go.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
How the... You need water. This is like Taco's weird dream that she had. What the hell? What they had. Oh my god. Taco, I'm reliving your dream!
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals.
This is really funky controls. Where is it?
I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. I grabbed on tight, but I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
We're a snake now. Are we a snake? What are we?
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Okay, we're just a monster now? I thought we were a snake.
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? His belly with a rusty razor, his belly with a rusty razor, his belly with a rusty.
I really thought I was a snake. Oh well.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
Okay. So, does everyone have like a powers?
I slithered onto the sand. and the good smell went into an old pipe.
So now are we a slithering thing? Or are we still a big monster? I don't know anymore, man. Oh.
I got closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
So there is a monster eating everyone.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Is that how she died? Shit. Holy fuck. I just went on a trip. Oh, can I not leave? Where do I go from here?
I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
The creature that she was, or the creature that she saw.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
So she did believe it. Whose room is this one?
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Edie's.
We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
Edie won't go.
I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time.
Wow.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Mole man.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Ah. Oh, hi, Mom.
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
I'm streaming a game. A cool game that I was told was gonna make me cry. So I'm playing it. Okay.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johann. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edith, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Yeah, it does. Sven and Edie's room. Built 1937. Sven's Finch. This is a bathroom. Oh, Jesus fuck.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Wait a minute. Oh, this again? Secrets in this there's a secret in this bathroom. What's the secret?
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Calvin Finch. Couple turns land into a native haven. Strong sculpt. Oh, we're crawling now. Melton. Oh, this room. Fort Calvin. This was the guy who was in the Marine Corps. Odin Finch.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
What? Wait, before we go in there, I wasn't done exploring this room.
I guess my
Command
grandpa
center.
didn't like history any more than my mom did.
Aw.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
Why are you only swinging your cast? Oh, because
My
I
brother
have...
said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I
Wait,
think
don't tell me
Calvin
he-
always wanted to fly.
No, don't tell me.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready!
Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
No, don't tell me.
I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
No.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Doing all the way around?
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
That's why the swing is like that.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
He died from doing that. Jesus fuck.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Jesus. He wanted to go to space and he did. Fuck. Okay. We're going in here.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Yeah. Wow.
Come in. Hello. Come in.
Oh.
The date.
Is that thing still in the house? Oh, this is
Growing up-
Barbara's room.
I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
I will be right back.
Okay. Barbara.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Yeah.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The surprise ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up, a has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
Wait, really?
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Why is her neck so long? Why is that the music?
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
Why is this? Why is that? Okay, we're just gonna...
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you're...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
We're hearing the music again.
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And whoever he was, he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
Little brother is under the bed.
That night, she played her part beautifully.
Window, right?
She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time.
I knew he was.
They took it all pretty hard. But that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Yeah. Or it was real. Look, I believe a lot of things, okay? That could have been real. That could have been a legitimate comic, okay? But key music box. I don't think there's any way to go from here, so... Key music box. Got it. That's why we can leave after this room.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Why is it loading? Why did it load like that? Something different gonna happen.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
That was the saw.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walt had gone.
Power?
She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Walter.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week.
He lived down in the basement.
But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
So he basically lived down here for his entire life.
Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
Walter could still be alive. Right?
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left.
Oh, damn.
Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
He's not alive at all. That is a dead man.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Why would you give him fake things to keep him happy? Why keep him down here? Because he saw things? Because he was witness to whatever the monster was? Is that why you've locked him down here?
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
What do you mean end up like Walter?
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding.
It's probably her fault, the monster.
I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
It's our fault that the curse exists.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
You're next.
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
I thought they had no light in the house as well. Who killed them?
And
What
when you look
remains?
at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Wow.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Christopher was the fish that Molly had. That knocked over one.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Barbara. She was born and died on the same date? That's scary. Chainsaw. Hub knit Fidek.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
Family must have been rich.
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Yeah, I just realized it would have killed Calvin. Because Calvin did fly, but I don't think he hit anything, did he? On the way down? What killed him? What is that? how would we get over there to find out what that is? I don't think we do, but that's so weird.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from.
Sam Finch.
Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Yeah.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
This is not a funky little game. Oh, I don't know how to feel. I feel like I want to lay down after this and, like, think.
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
You're 22 weeks pregnant? Why are you here? This monster is gonna kill both you and your child.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Damn, this game. I am
pretty intense.
I'm feeling emotions.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Yeah. Not yet, not yet. Go back in.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Airline ticket. Something's been going out of its way to kill our family. The family, I think. I don't know.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off. Not quite.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Oh, that's a pretty one.
Aw. You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Pokemon Snap.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hey!
Hey!
That's a keeper. Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn!
You made her do that?
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about—
Dad!
You got knocked off the
Of all
cliff.
these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Why do you make her do it? This is just making me angry. This is just making me really upset. And sorry if I'm not that talkative like this entire stream. It's just been...
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Gregory. Gregory was just a baby.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
That's weird. That's weird.
Bath time's over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
Bro, what?
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like.
Did this actually happen?
He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw. It sure made him happy.
This is some weird... Oh, I know where I'm trying to get to.
I know how silly it sounds. That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish he could have told us about the world he saw.
Is this just a house where magic exists?
Hey, there's so much I don't understand. About Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault.
Did they flood the bathtub on accident?
I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Wait, was the baby drowning? But the frog went into the... Oh, God. His toys came to life for him. I don't think it was a curse. I think it was mostly meant as like a magical thing. I think they were gifted something, maybe. Either the house or the family. But that gift turned into a curse. That's a really common thing that you see in like a lot of things. I can see like this big gift that they were given was turned into something worse. Like the baby could see things that weren't there. Well, what I mean is they were there, but the baby could bring things to life is what I meant. The baby could make things go, but not having control over his power ultimately killed him. I think Molly started the huge monster curse on accident. Because she started shapeshifted it into the monster and brought it to the family. Herself. That was her fault. And then it also got Barbara. Calvin, I think, was an accident. Or actually, no, the wind picked up at that exact time. I'm thinking that his whole entire thing was wind stuff, maybe? And he got sent flying that, or before. They never got their own special powers. It was the house. It was the house that made them believe. It was the house that killed them in the end. The house blessed them. But it also became a curse. Gregory didn't like being alone, so the house gave him friends to see. I think what happened to the dad over here, Sam, I think, yeah. I think what happened to Sam was a result of a wish. He was clearly being an ass in that situation. That poor girl didn't want to go out there. What happened there was a wish that came true, which killed Sam in the process. Calvin's wish is that he wanted to go higher. He wanted to fly one day, so the house made it happen. Barba's wish was to become a star. And the house made that happen too. Molly was hungry. She wanted food. And in a really weird and twisted way, she did end up becoming full finally. It could just be the house trying to give the gifts but failing miserably and killing off the family.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
Wow.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I remember.
Husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Oh, did lightning strike him while he was flying his kite?
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
I'm trying.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, make the music louder.
Wow, really?
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
All he wanted to do was fly his kite. And they wouldn't let him. And they were getting mad at him. So he got stressed. And the house made his wish come true. I don't think he wanted to be out there. He didn't want the wedding to be the thing. He knew something bad was gonna happen. He wished that it would end, and it did end. The thing is, a house doesn't know how to make proper wishes. With sympathy. With sympathy. Deepest sympathy. Raise flag, ew.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
This is nice. Don't like that cross, but... okay.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
I'm glad she didn't talk about it that much. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of religion. I know it helps some people with things, but I just was never a fan. Fine, India.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Is that it? Is that all that's here? Where am I supposed to go from here then? Wait. Haha.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
If this was a house in real life, I don't know if anyone could get anywhere.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
I like
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, Things were good. Almost normal.
They were homeschooled. This looks almost like an actual classroom. Ha, gay.
But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings. I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Wait, was I've seen one of these, they're so good.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
He disappeared, huh? I feel like Molly was the one.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Who started it? Maybe.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room, until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room, except Louis.
Why would you stay out of Lewis's room, though? Can I leave? Why would you stay out of Lewis's room? Lewis's room looks sick.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Whoa. This is so cool. I love this.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss, but he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor, and he won.
It's Mario.
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on. In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince.
Gay. He's gay. I'd be daydreaming about handsome princes too, don't worry. I already do. I am the handsome prince.
The prince was on his own quest for
rainbows. Make this as gay as possible.
radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of his
electric sitar.
electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon.
Oh my god.
Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
This dude started writing Dungeons & Dragons stories, didn't he? Became a DM.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know.
Because the world we know is too harsh for him. It's too too harsh of a reality.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
He didn't want to remember. He had such a basic life that he wanted something
He
more.
began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
He's not even doing it properly anymore. I don't think he
I
wanted
still
to be
thought I could save him.
It's not true. You can't
Even
save
after he
someone.
said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on inviting him. His prince waited, holding his crown.
I'm coming.
There was only one thing left to do.
Where is the prince?
Bend down his head.
No, 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 no.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Jesus, fuck.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
He didn't want to work there every day. He dreamed of something more. Then he started imagining his life away. I know because I do that too. I haven't died yet, but maybe soon.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
My adventures have taken me many places. And I guess so have his.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now was to tell you about that last night.
Edith.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
She didn't want to leave.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
That was the old house?
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car and...
Fucking ass.
I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly.
Oh, shit.
She got better for a while, and then she didn't.
Oh.
And then I was alone.
Crap.
The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself.
Ew. Ew, I have a feeling.
But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
I was like, what is this? And I was like, ew.
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Edith Finch. And there's the house. For Shirley Dallas. Dallas. Everything ends. just go through this for a minute. Okay, so my thoughts in this game. I know people are like saying, oh, it was just a bunch of unfortunate accidents, or people probably thought something completely different, but I think, personally, thinking about it more now, it feels like this was a blessing, or something gone wrong, basically. It was a blessing or a gift given to the family. But as blessings or gifts sometimes do, they tend to go poorly wrong. I think for these characters, I think for this family, the blessing was to grant wishes. If they had a wish, it would fulfill the wish. But I think that turned twisted. It went wrong. It's like granting wishes in the worst way possible, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it started with Molly. It could have started way before that. But people started dying because of the blessing or the gift. It was turned into a curse. Molly was hungry. She wanted food. She wished she could eat, and the house granted her wish in a very weird way. It made her transform into different animals, specifically different type of hunting animals, so that she could finally eat. And in the end, it killed her. Because she ended up eating herself. Barbara wished that she could be famous again. And in a way, she did. She did become famous through her death. Her wish came true. But in order for something like that to come through, she had to die. Calvin's wish was to finally take flight, and that's what he did. Sam's wish, Sam didn't have one. It was his daughter who had the wish. His daughter didn't want to be there. She wished for freedom. She didn't want to be a part of that. Was it Dawn? I think Dawn was his daughter. Maybe. I'm not sure how this family tree works, but she had a wish, and her wish was to get out of that situation. She didn't want to have to kill anything. And her father was congratulating her. So she wished that she could get out of that situation. And the only way she could was Sam getting killed. Walter saw what happened to Barbara, and his wish was to find out what happened. His wish was for something to change in the end. In the end, his very last wish, he had two. He wanted to find out what happened, for one. And he wanted something to change. He didn't want living in the basement to be his day-to-day life. So he left. and something did change. He got he got murked. Gregory's wish was to never be alone, I'm guessing. So he never was. He was given friends. His toys came to life to make him happy, but in the end they killed him. Gus's wish was to fly his kite and be left alone. I think his other wish was also... I think his main wish was that he didn't want the wedding to take place that day. That specific day. He didn't want it. He thought the wedding was a bad idea, and he was right. And he died because of it. Because in the end, his wish came true. The wedding was taken care of. They weren't having the celebration anymore, but he got killed in the process. They said Milton just disappeared. And it felt like his wish. Looking at his story, it was a little strange. It felt like his wish was to make something more. He was already an artist, but he wanted to make more. More. He wanted to create something worth remembering. So he left. Or that was his wish, at least. We never found out what happened to him. All we found out is that he walked away, maybe. He's probably still alive. They probably just assumed him dead because he left. And Lewis's wish was to stop living his daily life. He wanted something more. He was tired of the endless cycle. So he delved deeper and deeper into his imagination. He didn't want to relive the same day over and over and over again. He wanted something different. His imagination gave him that. His imagination made it possible for him to become something great. Made it possible for him to become more than a fish salesman. Or the thing where he just does the thing with the machines. That was his wish. And that wish caused his imagination to completely consume him. And in the end, it killed him. And out of all of the characters, out of all of their unfortunate accidents, Lewis is the one I relate to the most. Because that is how I always act when I'm in school. When I'm going through my daily life, I do the same thing. I'm not dead yet, but who knows? Maybe my imagination will get the best of me one day. Maybe I'll black out, and when I wake up, I won't be awake anymore. Well, this game made me go down a dark path. I hope you guys like this stream, and I will see you guys in whatever the next one is. Bye!